Hey everybody, it's Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for how day 4 turned out. So excited because again, I may be keeping things simple, but I am really keeping it doable so that way I can hopefully stay on top of this project. For the most part, on Saturday, my Cameo blade died. So now I am a little bit behind, but hopefully I can catch up because I feel like this year I'm just keeping things simple and really trying not to overcomplicate things. Day 6 is really special. It has to do with Instagram friends and sending happy mail. So that one's a little more complicated. But for the most part, I am really keeping these pages so easy. So for day 4, it was all about getting our yearly ornament. And we normally do this right at the beginning of December, but we didn't get to it until this particular day. And we changed up the kids' schedules, canceled an activity, so that way we could go out as a family and get our yearly ornaments. And honestly, you would have thought that we did something horrible as parents because our kids were not happy to start off with, that we changed up the routine. Like, how dare we? But afterwards, like once we got shopping and talking about the ornaments and just hanging out, everybody was happy, and it was definitely a needed family outing. I love making the kid photo full page, but since I decided to keep things simple with a pocket page, I just decided to take the big photo of my kids and split it up into 4 pockets. Easy, simple, and done. And I think I did it correctly. My son's jersey is a little off, but that's okay. I still think it looks fantastic. And so on the front, I have the December story journaling card, a photo of my daughter and I that my husband took, a funny photo of my kids with the ornament, and then a close-up of our ornaments. I have us hold the ornaments, and then I can snap like an overhead type shot. And so on this December story card, which I'm loving these cards for December, it feels like it's a card that just goes with any and all stories, and I can use it all the time. I think I actually wound up using it on the next page too, day 5. Not intentional, but it just wound up that way. I thought about making my own card for day 5, and I'll talk about that when I get there. But for this card, I just, again, talked about how we changed up our routine, kind of freaked the kids out with the change in routine, and picked out our ornaments. I got Wednesday Addams Funko Pop. My daughter got an Eggo waffle box because that's her absolute favorite, and if she could live off of Eggo waffles, she probably would. And then also a cheetah, and my son got a mustard bottle. Not kidding you, that kid loves mustard, and there's a certain level of mustard that needs to be on his various items. So I love these picks from these kids and my kids, and hopefully this year I remember to put the years on the ornaments. And so I am going to put the photos back in, and you can see I have a large 4. I wanted to put that 4 right in the middle of my page protector, but I wanted to have a way for me to get the photos out if I wanted to. And I also really didn't want to add a piece of vellum. I kind of wanted it to be floating somehow, I guess you could say. So I came up with this genius idea. Yes, I feel very smart, like 10 points to me. Like basically, I don't know why, but it looks kind of like a seatbelt. I don't know, maybe not a seatbelt, but I took a piece of acetate and I taped it between the 3rd and the 4th holes on the page protector with some red line tape. And then I bent it, scored it basically with my ruler. And then I am going to measure out where my 4 needs to be and add some red line tape there. And then my 4 is floating and looks fantastic. You can see here, I just scored it with my ruler because I want to make sure it bends really nicely. And I just trimmed off the extra piece that was hanging over. And again, I'm going to grab my ruler and a pen to kind of mark where I need to put tape for the 4. I wanted to make sure it was centered right over the page protector, and I knew that it would probably be easier to get red line tape down on the acetate than felt. Felt is really hard to get. You can get the acetate, you can get the red line tape onto the felt, but it will not, I just have the hardest time peeling it. And now with the cold weather, like my fingers really don't work like at all. There used to be a time when I would make YouTube videos and wear my compression gloves, like my gloves that help my fingers to work, but now I don't really wear them on camera. Suppose I could if you guys wanted to see them, but I slowly and painstakingly got the tape up, put my 4 on, and I just love how this turned out. It is so cool. It's a little flip for my 4, and it's like a peekaboo thing. I think I did a dance of joy when I figured this out and used this little technique because it was perfect. It was exactly what I wanted. And then on the back, I thought about, decorating and maybe adding, something to go along with the circle that says this story, like maybe down diagonally. But again, I'm just going to keep it simple. I added that circle and called it done. Like, let's just call it done and keep on trucking. So 4 is done, and now I can start to work on 5. So love this page. And again, I had lots of complicated ideas on how to complete 4. I even made a cut file with a giant ornament, but I went with a page protector and I love it. All right, so day 5 is all about edible cookie dough. My daughter and I discovered this recipe. Well, I discovered it and then I told my daughter, and she was literally telling me that this was on her bucket list of things to make. So it was just the best, and it's super easy too. So I got some letters or piece of paper and then cut the letters on my Cameo using a font. It's a paper that's kind of like gray neutral. I didn't really want white, so I went with a gray neutral, and it says edible cookie dough, and I'm going to lay it right on top of the photo that I took of me holding the bowl of the cookie dough right up to the tree. And then I printed it on vellum, and it's kind of curling up, so that's why I'm using my hole punch to make sure that it doesn't curl up as I'm placing the letters. I love how it turned out. It's a little more messy than I would have wanted, but what can you do? So for the edible cookie dough, I will go ahead and leave a link if you're interested. I am currently dealing with, the dietary issues. And so the recipe is actually low FODMAP, meaning it's gluten-free. And I think it's got a few other things, but for this one, since my daughter was going to be trying it, I decided to go ahead and use our regular flour. And so it's really simple. The only thing that we had to do that was new to us was to cook the flour for a few minutes to get out all the bacteria. Well, yeah, that was the point of it. And then it's just basically mixing together a bunch of sugar and butter, and it's amazing. It tastes just like cookie dough, so it's delicious. Now, next time I make it, I will probably make it gluten-free and maybe even see if I can throw in some protein powder or something, make it a little healthier for me. But it's so good, and it's so hard to just not eat the whole thing. And I would recommend too, when you're making it, make sure you make it into little balls, because my daughter and I kind of just forgot that part and we left it in a giant ball with whatever we had left over, but it was still oh so good. For the 5, I put it at the top of the tree and then stapled it. And now for this page, again, keeping it really simple, just doing a pocket page format. And I will say on this particular day, I had done a really sweaty workout and I didn't wipe my mascara. So I did have to do some retouching to the photo because it honestly looked like I got punched in the eye. Which is funny. Like, I could have added that in as like a side note to this page, but I didn't. I just turned the photo black and white and did the best I could to kind of hide the fact that I forgot to wipe my mascara. It's just, it was just funny. Mom doesn't necessarily like take care of herself after a workout because she's just on to the next thing, right? So Just a funny thing I had to share. I have a flip up because there's 2 photos of my daughter baking with our mixer, and so I just decided to use this greenery paper because it was patterned, and I had thought that I would kind of cut apart the greenery paper to add some more detail to the page since it's just white. I thought maybe I could make a cluster of greenery in the bottom left corner. Yeah, bottom left corner. And I think I took all of that out of the editing of this video because I decided I didn't like it. It just looked messy and I didn't like it. So I was just gonna, cut these leaves out, cut the berries out, kind of not a paper piece situation, maybe kinda, but I just didn't like it, and I decided, why don't I just stamp a border around my project? But you can see here I left in a little bit of my thinking and process as I'm trying to complete the page. But I ultimately take it all away. I don't like it. So I'm going to grab some stamps and stamp a border. I do wish that I had picked like a gray ink. That way it would have kind of coordinated with the letters in edible cookie dough, but that's okay. It just winds up being almost 2 separate pieces. I don't know. Doesn't matter in the end that I didn't really tie in the gray color from the letters. I don't know. I'd love to know your guys' opinion. So I grabbed a neutral like tan distress oxide ink and then a green and a red. And normally when I stamp a border like this, I already know ahead of time that I want to stamp a border. So I do the border first and then add the photos. This time I knew after the fact, so I'm using some scratch pieces of paper so that way I do not stamp on the photos or the journaling card. The December daily stamp set that I'm using, I believe, is from last year, and it's just a cluster of stars, and I will stamp that in green and red. And then after that, I will stamp some neutral phrases and a heart. And I really love how simple it is and how pretty and festive it is. And I can definitely do this technique again and maybe do more of a stamping fun. Like, I still want to figure out a way to use the gingerbread 4x6 stamp set because my favorite snack this season is Target gingerbread minis. I love them and I will eat them till I'm sick. Almost literally. So it's kind of ridiculous, but telling that story would give me a good reason to use some gingerbread stamp set. Now, the stamp that I picked was Making Spirits Bright, and I stamped that around along with a heart. And now I'm just going to talk about the story of making edible cookie dough. Once again, we kind of canceled an activity and decided, that's too much, too many activities. So we canceled it, and that way we had kind of a free evening to hang out and be together. And we made the edible cookie dough along with trying out a new Christmas movie on Netflix. I think it was called That Christmas. It was really awesome. And it was just a wonderful time together. It's so nice to get to the point where you can be like, activity A, B, and C, too much. We can do A and B or just A, because that's where we're at with our lives. We have to understand, and the kids are even understanding, sometimes we just need a break. And that's what we needed tonight. And I'm so glad that we made this recipe. And my daughter even told me just the other day, we have already made so much stuff this season. And that makes her happy, which makes me happy because she loves to bake. All right, you guys, I hope you have enjoyed seeing these 2 stories come together. I appreciate you taking the time to watch. I'd love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you are new to my channel. All right, have a wonderful day. Bye.